Ivorybilled Woodpecker, 1935 expedition. The Ivorybilled Woodpecker is believed to be extinct due to habitat destruction and hunting across the United States and northern Mexico. Its last verified sighting happened in Louisiana in the 1940s, when Professor Arthur Allen was able to film and record it. However, sporadic sightings have occurred in the past 20 years in several southern U.S. states, although their veracity is still being contested. In 1935, the Cornell University Ornithology Lab director Arthur Allen led the most significant ivory-billed woodpecker search, along with Peter Paul Kellogg, James Tanner, and bird artist George Sutton. The team ventured into regions of northwestern Louisiana, following the steps of hunters that had reportedly captured one ivory-billed woodpecker. Allen and his team eventually found a small population of woodpeckers near the Singer Tract. This swampy area was owned by the Singer Sewing Company, which used forests to make cabinets for sewing machines. The team was able to record audio, footage, and pictures of the elusive birds, whose white backpack differentiates them from other woodpeckers. Allen's audio recordings captured the birds' distinct sounds: a Kent call, a chirp reminiscent of a toy horn, and a double clock, two rapid, heavy blows into a tree. The ivory-billed woodpecker is also known as the Lord God bird because of these excited cries. After Allen presented the gathered data to the scientific community, the National Audubon Society attempted to buy the logging rights to the track to preserve the habitat and birds, but Singer Sewing Company rejected the offer. Meanwhile, Tanner spent 4 years traveling across the U.S., searching for other populations of woodpeckers. He estimated that there were less than 30 in the entire country. The ivory-billed woodpecker was listed as an endangered species in 1967 by the U.S. Wildlife Service and was later categorized as extinct by the American Birding Association. Researchers believe that the bird's extinction was triggered by the last area clearing by Nazi prisoners of war during World War II under Singer Sewing Company's command. However, several unconfirmed sightings have been reported since. These reports led Cornell University to launch its secret inventor project in the 2000s in an attempt to confirm the woodpecker's existence. Using Allen's 1935 audio recordings as a lure, dozens of researchers spent years searching for the woodpecker in Arkansas's big woods. Video from a 2005 expedition allegedly shows a Lord God bird, but many experts have dismissed it as a similar-looking pileated woodpecker. Perhaps somewhere in the United States, some ivory-billed woodpeckers still roam freely. Heath Hen. Heath hens, a subspecies of the prairie chicken, or Tympanicus cupido, once roamed North America's vast landscapes and were a common food source for Native Americans and white settlers. The birds became extinct in the 1930s because of several environmental factors, but recent investigations do not rule out a comeback through genetic engineering. The heath hen was used to the sandy barrens that ran from New Hampshire to northern Virginia, all through Florida and the eastern coast. Some heath hens even populated the prairies of Texas and Indiana. Some historians speculate that the Pilgrims actually featured these hens at the first Thanksgiving dinner in the 17th century instead of wild turkeys, as it is commonly believed. The heath hens were highly prominent during the English colonization of the U.S. eastern coast. In the late 18th century, when the English and the French were at war in the continental United States, the heath hen was considered a poor man's food because it was extremely cheap and plentiful. By the time the Civil War broke out, the heath hen population had begun to decline rapidly and practically vanished from the eastern coast. Forced to inhabit in the central U.S., the birds became easy prey for feral cats and other predators. In the early 20th century, only 200 heath hens survived. They were protected by a warden in a state conservation reserve in Martha's Vineyard. This led to the creation of the Heath Hen Reserve, where the hen's population grew to more than 2,000. The giant hens even became a local attraction. Footage from the reserve, shot in 1918, shows behaviors the birds exhibited during mating season: strutting, bowing, dancing, and fighting. After being forgotten, the film was rediscovered decades later when it was so old that the canister risked spontaneous combustion. Due to a forest fire on the reserve, an influx of predators, and disease, the species once again neared extinction in the 1920s. By 1930, only 12 male and 2 female heath hens remained. The last known heath hen, nicknamed Booming Ben, passed on March 11, 1932, at around 8 years of age in the grounds around West Tisbury. However, for the last 10 years, several farmers and scientists have been trying to move forward with a project to de-extinct the heath hen through genetic engineering. A nonprofit project called Revive and Restore is looking to revive several species through DNA from museum specimens. the reaction has been predictably divided. Some experts believe that a real heath hen cannot be recreated, but that a facsimile could probably be produced. The question still remains as to whether modern science can bring the heath hen back, or if it would be of any benefit to mankind. Thylacine. The Tasmanian tiger, or thylacine, is an extinct carnivorous marsupial that was a native species of New Guinea, Tasmania, and the Australian mainland up to the 1930s. But recent video footage taken by zoologists in Australia might prove otherwise. The thylacine was a cross between a wolf, a fox, and a large cat with yellowish-brown fur and approximately 20 black stripes across its back and tail. Similar to kangaroos, their tails could not be wagged side to side, and females possessed backward-opening pouches for carrying young offspring. In what is known as a threat yawn, the carnivorous animal was also known for its ability to open its jaw wider than any other mammal. Zoologists believe that the Tasmanian tiger went extinct because it was hunted down by English colonists due to their keenness to attack sheep herds, and because of the introduction of dingoes in their habitat some 2,000 years ago. The last known thylacine, named Benjamin, was pictured while on display at the Beaumaris Zoo in Australia until he passed away in 1936. By then, thylacine hunting was encouraged by the Tasmanian government, and it wasn't until 1938 that the species became protected. However, in 2016, the supposedly extinct creature was seen again in a video released by the Thylacine Awareness Group of Australia. Footage taken by trail cameras placed by Spanish zoologists spotted an animal that greatly resembled the Tasmanian tiger. Other videos have surfaced online showing a feline with similar characteristics to the thylacine, but the Australian government has remained silent. Zoologists have not been able to confirm the thylacine's reappearance. Still, the Tasmanian tiger remains one of Australia's most recognizable species and is even considered a national symbol. Laysan Crake. The Laysan Crake was a 6-inch tall bird with reduced tail and wings that rendered it unable to fly. It used its wings to keep balance when running and jumping, and fed on invertebrates and seabirds' eggs. The Hawaiian bird almost became extinct early in the 20th century, but a relocation to Midway Atoll slowed the natural process down. Still, the last crake was seen in 1944, around the time a U.S. Navy landing craft drifted ashore. The Laysan Crake's coloration resembled that of the Baillon's crake, with a mixture of dark grays and pale browns, a yellow bill, red eyes, and long dark legs. British BBC footage taken in 1936 shows the crake in its Hawaiian habitat. Also known as the Laysan Rail, the small yet aggressive birds fed on invertebrates and eggs. They were highly active during mornings and afternoons, and they had no known natural predators that actively hunted them down. Also, their distinctive chirping resembled two marbles thrown onto a glass roof. According to biologists, the introduction of rabbits and guinea pigs on Laysan Island that consumed vegetation and reduced the availability of insects would have led to the bird's extinction. But the relocation to the Midway Atoll in an attempt to save the species showed promising results. However, the population started to decrease before the outbreak of World War II, and no further attempts were made to preserve the species. In June of 1944, a U.S. Navy landing craft drifted ashore carrying black rats that ate the remaining birds. Since then, no Laysan Crake has ever been spotted. Baiji. The Baiji is an extinct freshwater dolphin that saw a decline in its population when China began dropping industrial and residential wastes into the Yangtze River. It was last seen at the turn of the 20th century, but some locals claim to have recently spotted the dolphin along some regions of the historical river. The Lepodes vexillifer dolphin, meaning the left-behind flag-bearer, lived in China for 20 million years. It is now considered the first dolphin species to become extinct by direct human involvement. Industrial pollution in the region and unregulated fishing are the two leading causes attributed to the extinction of the near-blind Baiji. Footage believed to be from 1997 shows what may be the last confirmed sighting of a Baiji dolphin while swimming in the wild. It was taken by an international team exploring China's Yangtze River to search for the ancient creature. The team could only find 13 such dolphins during their 6-month expedition. A 2006 operation led by the Baiji.org Foundation found no sonar or visual traces of the species, which led to the declaration that they were functionally extinct. Vague and unconfirmed Baiji sightings continue to be reported to this day, including a 2018 report from Tongling City in the province of Anhui. Still, no conclusive evidence has been presented, and the Baiji remains just a memory.